Hello guys, and welcome to the next tutorial. And I know I said in the previous video that we're gonna talk about different kinds of variables, and um, but in this tutorial I'm actually gonna talk about comments before we move on. Okay, so sorry about that, but I kind of have to mention comments. Okay, and comments is basically is the code that only for users or for us who type the code for programmers. Okay, it gets ignored by the compiler. Basically, it's for us to understand our code better. Explanation. So the way to do it is very simple. Is so if you want to comment and say, "Oh, this code does such thing," right? So X whatever, and so basically, how it's squiggly and does not understand whatever the heck happened. Okay, so basically, in order to do that, we just type these little things right there, and guess what happens? This whole thing becomes green, and this means this just means nothing for C sharp. It ignores the whole line. Okay, so if you would type anything here, it ignores, but as soon as you hit enter and you get to the next line, you can see that it starts understanding and trying to help us. Okay, that's if we just want to do one line. Okay, if we have a whole paragraph and we describe, for instance, what our program does, either a game or something, and we have many lines of code, right, of explanation or comments. Okay, so basically in this case, if we have many lines and we don't want to just go ahead and press all of those backslash v, what we can do is we can use, just like in many other languages, basically we can have that in our favorite star, and you can see it actually ignores everything until the end of the program. See what it does? And then it gives us this squiggly thing because it doesn't, we forgot to close, but we didn't. It just in our comments. So if we go in the end of what we want to comment and do a reverse, it will stop right at that point. Okay, so this is many lines. This is a single line. Another way to do it, a shortcut, is when we do write, let's say a lot of code, right? So we have actual code written, and we have the console dot write line, and then we have something in there, our X, um, or something is in there, and what happened is, let's say we don't want it, right? So what we can do is we can highlight it and go right here on the right, and it says comment out the selected lines. So we can comment out many lines. So we select what we want and press this, and it will comment. There's another one next to it, and it says uncomment. So it will go back and forth. Okay. Um, so if you don't see this, you can probably press here, go add remove buttons, and find it here and bring them. See how I have highlighted right here, check marked. Well, if you don't have it, you can check mark them and they will bring them for you right here. It's actually very useful. When you type some kind of a code and it's not working and you want to try another one, you don't want to delete the whole thing. So you want to kind of just temporarily disable it. So you just highlight it and go swap it. Okay. Another thing, what I want to put out, one last thing with comments, there's this thing that it's called a region. And basically what it is it combines your code in kind of a category. And to do that, you can use this little hashtag. Um, and it will, and then you type region, as you can see, it gives you help. Um, and you can name your region. So let's say you do something for calculate tax rate, right? So you do tax rate. And guess what happens here in the end? After that, you can go in here and start typing, and you can do and region, and that's it. And guess what? See, it picks it up, it starts and ends, and then this can be many lines of code, right? So it's easier for you to understand this, and also C sharp will ignore that. So this is kind of for you to understand. And another cool thing about it is that you can collapse the regions. How about that? Look at that. So and when you have a lot of code in there, and you do different things, instead of using comments, a lot of times this is used, and I definitely personally use it, and it helps a lot. And as you collapse, see, it just names it text rate, and it just shows a little square around it, box. That means there's something in there. And if you highlight, it tells you actually what's inside there, the little preview. And you can click on this little plus, it will expand or collapse it. Later, when you become, more programming experience and you have you thousand lines of code and, you scrolling back and forth, this has become very useful. You basically organize your code in what the code does. And when it's working for sure, and you don't have to look ever again, and you work on something else, you just collapse, and you're just gonna have those little topics of code what it does, and you can just back and forth go. It will simplify your code and make your life very much easier. Trust me on that one. You will thank me for this. Nobody actually showed me. I never seen that. I kind of figured it out on my own. I saw that in one of the code, but when I watched tutorials and was learning, nobody ever showed me this. So I'm showing you this, guys, and you're welcome. Okay, so now after this, we can go ahead and get back to our data type variables. Okay, so in the next video, I promise you, we get into data types. Okay, thank you very much for watching.